Well, greetings, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Rod Johnson, and we are pleased to have in our studios today elementary principal Derek Bell and high school principal Tim Hodges. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We wanted to have you in because we've got a new school year going here, and Derek, maybe we'll start with you. How have things been going so far at the elementary?
Actually, it's been great. We've got a lot of new staff. A lot of the veteran staff have moved grade levels, so every team actually has a new member on it, which is kind of neat. We did some team building activities this earlier this fall during workshop week. Kicked off the year on a high note. Other than that, we've got a lot of fun things happening. A lot of new kids.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, we've got upwards of 20 some, almost 30 new students at the elementary, and so that alone is kind of a fun thing to have those kids. So changes up the scenery a little bit. So.
Enrollment-wise, as far as numbers, does that fluctuate a lot year to year?
Yeah, we have the outgoing senior class was actually pretty large. Okay. So district-wide, we're probably even.
Okay.
Well, we're probably still down some actually because of that large class leaving. But the influx of kids, at least at the elementary, is helping those numbers. So.
You mentioned staff. Quite a few new staff at the elementary?
Yes.
Yeah.
The exact numbers is probably about 11 new staff, but that's not all teaching staff.
Okay.
That's some support staff as well. So.
And compared to other years, is that kind of high?
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was
a lot.
thinking.
Yeah, it was a busy summer.
Because you had, I know some people retire, and there was just positions you had to fill.
Exactly. And we actually added a new position called, it's an ADSIS. It's ADSIS, and it's a alternative delivery of instruction. It's grant funded through the Goody County Ed District, and really it's fits right into our RTI program, which helps kids read. We're going to target our kids from kindergarten, first and second grade, and our staff member is Christine Nelson, and she's going to work closely with our RTI staff and really, help those kids read well by third grade, which is ultimately what, through the state mandates and other things, that's our goal.
So things are running smooth then.
I would say they are. Yeah.
Let's talk about the high school, Tim, and numbers wise, staff wise, kind of what's happening there.
Not quite as many staff changes at the high school. A big one is Allison Godfrey, who was a longtime secretary, left us, and Jamie Pickering now is our attendant secretary. So anybody who is calling in will be talking to Jamie instead of Allison. We've got 2 new teachers this year. Peter Duggan is our new band instructor. He's doing a part-time position, and he's also teaching a 6th grade general music class. So they're doing some really neat things already in the first week of school. I went down on Friday and watched his class, and he was teaching kids about amplitude and frequency, and they were building harmonicas with some rubber bands and tongue depressors. So the kids were really excited about that already. We've also got a new math teacher, Stephanie Berg. So she is teaching a little bit of 7th grade and a little bit of 9th grade math. So,
as kind of an outsider looking in, and tell me if this is correct, but it seems to me that teachers tend to stay quite a while at Cannon Falls.
Sure.
Is that true? Because it seems like it.
Yeah, in my building in particular, teachers once they get there, they're there for a while. So I've had a couple of teachers that have left. And not because of teaching positions, but they've left and gone into other directions, into other fields. But for the most part, my staff has been pretty stable. I think I've got a couple of non-tenured teachers right now, but then it's like 5 or 6 years of experience after that. So, and then up until John Fogerty, who I think he's in his 47th or 46th or 47th year of teaching. He started in 1969, so. Still going strong.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing. Yep.
Brand new senior class. And
yes.
I imagine the seniors got to be excited, don't they?
Oh, they always are. Yeah. And every year it's a different flavor of kids. Last year was kind of the class was labeled the bubble class because it was our big class. And we go from that bigger size down to, I think our seniors are the smallest class in the school right now. So I've got about 81 or 82 kids in the senior class. Great kids, really involved. in all kinds of activities and athletics, and they do great academically too. So every year is a little different just because of the personalities involved and just because of the dynamics of the groups, but I look forward to every one of those groups of seniors.
So we're into a new school year, and things been running pretty smooth. You
Oh
know?
yeah, absolutely.
I haven't heard anything. So.
Yeah, I mean, my building is a little unique because we have 3 different main schedules that we follow. So we have our regular schedule, we have our schedule that we run on Ramp Up to Readiness Day, and then we have our PLC early release schedule. So today is the first day that we've run our regular schedule, but even then, since it's homecoming week, we had a pep fest during first hour, so we haven't had a regular day yet. So I'm looking forward to next week when we start having some regular days. So
we were talking a little bit before we got on the air about technology.
Sure.
I mean, you look at society today, and it's just crazy how technology has advanced. I would imagine the same is true in the schools.
Absolutely. Mr. Bell and I have both worked really hard in the last few years to put together a program that really prepares our students for 21st century learning and 21st century skills. And part of that is the one-to-one devices that we've got going. In Mr. Bell's building, kids receive iPad minis, and they use those. They can take those home. In my building, we've got 2 different devices that kids will have access to this year. The middle school kids will have a Chromebook, which looks like a little mini laptop, but it basically runs just the Chrome web browser. So it can run anything that you can get on the web for. Our high school kids will get a PC tablet, so it's actually fully functioning PC that they'll have access to throughout the whole year. So this year we're phasing in that one-to-one program. We're in our 2nd year of that now. I think elementary,
Grades
grade
2 through 5. Yeah.
2 through
So
5.
it starts in second grade.
Graders
Right.
now have them. Yep. They'll get them this week actually. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in my building, grades 6, 7, 9, and 10 have access to devices, and then next year all students will have access to a device.
So these devices, they stay with the school, and or do the kids keep them, or how does that work?
It kind of depends. The upper level kids have access to them 24/7, so they can take them home and use them however they need. And I think 2nd grade?
2nd grade's going to keep them at school. Those are just their devices to use at school. But 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders take them home. It's their device until the school year ends, and then we collect them and clean them and re-image them, and then we reissue them this year. So our current 5th graders will get their same device that they had last year as 4th grade kids. So
It must be a challenge to keep up as far as education is concerned with the technology, because I imagine both of you have just seen crazy changes.
Oh, absolutely.
In the years you've been involved.
Sure. Yeah, it is. And I think, we have tried to develop our program so that we can at least try to stay current with things. It's impossible for schools to stay cutting edge all the time. It's just financially and time-wise, you can't do that. But we try to give kids the tools and the experiences that they need to be successful outside of school when they're done, because we know that when you get outside of high school, no matter what your career field is, computers, technology are a huge part of it, no matter what kind of field you're getting into.
with technology, we want our kids to be able to do things with technology that was previously inconceivable. Okay, so we want them to think outside the box. We want our teachers to think outside the box, so that we're recreating things that are ultimately providing them with a better education, but also getting them to think differently, because when they get into college and career, in order to compete for those jobs, they have to be able to think that way and perform that way. So that's really that's our end goal with all of this, and it starts at the elementary level. And the reason we chose iPads through Apple is because, in my opinion, it gives them a little bit more opportunity to be creative with it, rather than just have a keyboard in front of them and use it as a word processor. And that's not what they do up at the middle school, high school with those types of devices. But it starts at that early age that we're not focusing on keyboarding, we're focusing on that creativity. So.
All right. Facility-wise, let's talk elementary. I mean, things looking good as far as the facilities are concerned there at the elementary school?
Yeah, they look fantastic. I hope people can get through it and come check out our new cafeteria. We repainted the entire cafeteria including the duct work up in the ceiling, the metal beams. We added awnings, so it gives it more of a cafe kind of look, which is what we wanted for an elementary. And it's all red and black, so it screams Bomber colors, which is what we wanted. You know, it's that first it's the first room when you come into the elementary, first thing you see when you drive into that school. So we also redid the gym. We've got new lighting in the gym, which looks amazing. You can actually you know, really see all corners of it, and you know, ultimately that's what we want. Redid the floor. We repainted our commons areas in both of our wings, again red and black. You know, we wanted that connectability up through high school, especially with, you know, we do all of our homecoming activities and all of that kind of stuff. So looks great.
Great. And Tim, how about the high school? How's middle school, high school, I should
Sure.
say?
One of the big changes is our ALC program, instead of being at the CCC, is now back on at the high school building. So we took a couple of classrooms that were connected together, and we assigned those as our ALC rooms. So we've got a computer lab, and we've got a classroom space. So that classroom space was a drafting room for our drafting class. We moved those drafting tables into the shop classroom, so kids can actually experience what that shop is like before they become high school kids. And then again, we did a lot of painting this summer, so you know, things are freshened up. We also got some Bomber colors in our hallways. Right. So if you come in the the south hallway of the high school, you'll see a couple of red and black stripes down through the hallway. So it's not just institutional now. You can really get some color and have a little school spirit.
For those not familiar with the ALC, and didn't they call it Riverside? I mean, I think.
Yeah.
And also Wastito is no longer in use, and
Sure.
the CCC is no longer in use. So maybe just give, for those that don't really understand, they give an overview of how that all works.
Right. So our ALC was housed at the CCC.
Right.
And so was Riverside, which is one of the Goodhue County Ed District programs.
Okay.
So the Ed
So
District.
they actually were two separate.
They were two separate. Okay. They were two separate programs.
Okay.
So the Goodhue County Ed District built a new building, and they combined all of their programs into one building this year called River Bluff Education Center.
And you were saying that's what, right across the street from the Red Wing?
It's right across the parking lot from the Red Wing High School. So it's they share a parking lot. So the kids who were at Wastito are there now. The kids who were at Riverside are there now. The kids who were at the Jefferson Building in Red Wing are there now. So all of their programs are combined together. And we just made the decision, since that building we were only using 2 classrooms there, that we would just pull kids back on campus. It makes it easier for us to schedule them. It gives us some flexibility. Since our ALC is not a full-time program, we can have those kids who take those ALC classes. They can also take any high school class any time of the day they want. So it provides scheduling flexibility for us, and really we can better individualize that ALC experience for those kids.
I would think transportation-wise, even though it's not very
Sure.
far, it's still, you know,
Yeah.
you got to get from the high school down.
Exactly, and we were running, you know, we were having kids catch shuttle buses and vans, you know, at different times during the day, and then at the end of 5th hour, all of the ALC kids came up to have lunch. So this way we don't have to worry about those juggling maneuvers anymore. We've got them all right there.
Again, you're watching Talk of the Town. We have the middle school, high school principal, Tim Hodges, with us, and also the elementary principal, Derek Bell, with us. And Derek, any new programs or anything we should be aware of that will be happening at the elementary this year?
You know, new program-wise, you know, a couple of the biggest things, the ADSYS position that I spoke of earlier, but also we've added another Minnesota Reading Corps member. And, you know, ultimately it's a full-time member, and it's actually dedicated mainly to kindergartners. So when we look at, you know, making sure that kids are reading well by 3rd grade, we really focus, actually, you know, we put a lot of effort in preschool, but now we're really focusing a lot in kindergarten, so that they're not left behind and not struggling to read by 3rd grade. So that's probably one of the biggest things that we've added is a kindergarten-focused Minnesota Reading Corps member, and then also that ADSYS RTI reading member too. So
one thing I do want to bring up is book buddies, because I kind of been working with you as I'm with Shepherd Center and the volunteer reading to the 1st grade kids, and we had a lot of new volunteers this year, which is great. And do the kids, you think, enjoy that, the book buddies where seniors read to the kids?
Absolutely. You know, especially when those folks come in and they read to these kids and they make it enjoyable. The kids love listening to books. They will sit and listen to anyone read to them, especially if they make it a fun experience. And every one of our volunteers, has a fun time with that. And as long as they smile and they have a good time, the kids want to be there.
Yeah.
It's something different. It's unique. Every week we get to do it, and it's not for a long period of time, so it's not outdoing their attention span. And I think it's a great program, and I'm excited for this year to start.
Yeah.
And get all those new volunteers, because then it's a more individual base. We got 1 to 2 kids per person this year, so it'll be fun.
And I've done it, and I don't know who enjoys it more, the volunteer readers or the
True,
kids. I think
true.
everybody's enjoying
Yep,
it, but that's a
yep.
great program.
Yeah,
So.
I agree.
And Tim, the high school, we have anything new happening there this year?
Well, just a couple of things for people to be aware of. In the past few years, parents have had access to students' grades, some of their attendance data, and their school lunch fees online through Infinite Campus. This year, we're adding something for parents called Schoology. Students have been using Schoology. This is the 2nd year now, and Schoology is a learning management system. So you can kind of think of Schoology as the teacher's lesson plan book, so that parents can get an idea of what's coming up, what things are due, and there's even a calendar and a to-do list for that. Whereas Infinite Campus is really looking at the grade book, so after something's been turned in and graded. So we're excited that parents are going to have access to Schoology this year. A couple of other things, just reminders. The high school conferences are a little bit different than the elementary conferences. We have 4 individual dates throughout the year, once per quarter. They're about at midterms for each quarter. So parents can make sure that they look for those dates on the calendar. And then one last thing, our Lantern, our school newspaper that John Fogerty took over a couple years ago, has been doing awesome things. So if people have the time to go online to look at the Lantern, it's only a web-based newspaper now. There's no more print, but they have actually won some state awards already for the great work that they do, and the kids that do it do a phenomenal job. We've got great photo editors, we've got great print editors, and we've got kids going out and covering all kinds of really neat things. So, if people have got the time to go look at the Lantern, they should really take the opportunity
I've got a little
to do
personal experience with them, because when Caitlin Smith was here and did the concert, of course, Caitlin's from Cannon Falls, had a couple from the Lantern come and conduct an interview and take some photos, and they impressed me how professional they were.
They are very impressive in how they do things. So Mr. Fogerty's got that group kind of whipped into shape, and they're doing wonderful things.
Touch just a little bit on extracurricular activities, because there's a lot offered to the students.
You bet.
What's the trend there? Do the numbers go up and down? Are they pretty steady? How does that look?
This year's numbers are up from last year, so we're probably more on course for a regular, ordinary year. Last year our numbers were down a little bit. This year they're back up. We've added a couple of sports. We've added girls soccer and boys soccer. Those numbers look phenomenal, and they don't appear to be detracting from any of the other programs.
Good.
So across the board, the best thing about adding soccer was it provided an opportunity for students who didn't have anything to do. And kids who are involved and who are active in school and become part of that school community are better students, and they're better citizens. So we want all of our kids to connect with some kind of thing like that. So those kind of extracurriculars are going well. The school musical this fall will be Annie.
Oh, nice.
They just cast that on Friday, so I don't know if they've made any announcements about who is in each role, but
the decisions have
the
been made.
decisions I think have been made. So unless they're having any callbacks today, so we've got other great programs too. Our speech and debate programs are award-winning, and our numbers in speech are phenomenal. We had almost 90 students at one point in speech in grades K through 12 last year, which for a school our size is phenomenal. And then we've got other kinds of great programs going on. We've got a group that's participating in We Act. We Act is a student organization or a student group that just goes out and volunteers. They do community volunteering, and they do national and worldwide volunteer programs. And you may have heard about them. They have a big We Day at the Excel Center in St. Paul every year, where the kids that participate in that can go and hear inspiring things from our leaders, our nation's leaders, and from celebrities. So that's a really cool, fairly new thing that's been going on for just a year. So
Great.
yeah,
All right. So things seem to be going pretty good with the new school year. Huh?
I think so.
Anything else we want to touch on before we wrap it up?
Well, this week is homecoming.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff going on
Go
right
Bombers.
now. Yeah.
Yep.
So the student council, I think last year was the first year they did this. Was putting on a window decorating contest for the businesses in town. So that's going on this week, and then on Friday, we've got the game, and we've got the dance Friday after the game. So
And if I remember right, too, I think at halftime of the game they're going to announce the new inductees into the Bomber Hall of Fame.
I believe so. Yeah, that's
So that news will come out Friday.
exactly.
All right. Well, great. Thank you both
Yes.
for taking some
Thank
time
you.
to come in and talk with us here and talk of the town. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Our guests again have been the middle high school principal, Tim Hodges, and the elementary principal, Derek Bell, all a part of the Cannon Falls School District. And that'll wrap it up for this edition of Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Rod Johnson.